Environmental Science EVS Unit 6 Global Environmental Issues and Policies. This is part 1 of this chapter in which we will be discussing climate change, global warming, ozone layer depletion and acid rain. In the next video you can check details on international agreement and environmental legislation in India. So let's get started. Climate change. Nobody can deny that climate change is happening, and it is quite evident with ever increasing rise in the temperature of our earth. Climate is the average weather of an area. It is the general weather condition, seasonal variation and extreme weather in a region. And when it is calculated for at least 30 years, then on a long time period it is known as climate. It has been recorded that climate has been variable in the geological time scale. There have been time period when Earth was having totally freezing kind of climate. For example, Ice Age during Ordovician time period or just near the Permian time period. But it has been observed that in past 1000 to 10,000 years, temperature has been relatively very stable. There have been variation only by 0.5 to 1 degree Celsius. But now, the situation is very different. According to IPCC, that is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is the main body that is recording the variations in temperature, and according to their data, temperature has been increasing continuously and the graph is showing an upward trend. It is expected that by 2060, the temperature would be more than 2 degrees Celsius. Now this increase in temperature is not same all across the world. In fact, poles will witness maximum amount of temperature rise, and it is expected that with increase in temperature, the ice cap and glaciers will melt down, thereby increasing the sea level rise. Not only this kind of increase in temperature will also affect oceanic currents and the pattern of wind. So ultimately, many weather phenomena and climatic conditions will alter because of global warming. We all know that sunlight enters our planet Earth, but within tropospheric layer, it is reflected back. However, there are few gases like chlorofluorocarbon, methane, nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide and water vapor, which have tendency to trap solar radiations. These gases are very important because presence of these gases have made life possible on our planet. So the temperature is relatively warm, which is suited for all species. But now the condition is different. Excessive deforestation, large number of vehicular pollution and cutting down of trees, industrial pollution, everything is responsible for rise in greenhouse gases. So the amount of carbon dioxide, water vapor, nitrous oxide, methane, chlorofluorocarbon is continuously increasing, and that is problematic because when these greenhouse gases increase, then they will trap much more amount of solar radiations within troposphere, and that is the main reason why global warming is taking place. So the main greenhouse gases are: first, carbon dioxide, which contribute to 55% of total global warming. The main source of release of CO2 is fuel burning, forest clearing, and when it is released out in atmosphere, CO2 can stay in atmosphere for more than 500 years. Every year we are noticing increase in CO2, and the rate of increase is 1.5 ppm per year. The next greenhouse gas is chlorofluorocarbon. Chlorofluorocarbon contribute to 24% of global warming, and they are released from ACs and fridge. These chlorofluorocarbon can stay in atmosphere for 65 to 110 years, and they are rapidly increasing by the rate of 0.5% every year. Methane contributes to 18% of total global warming. It is released from swamp, wetland, landfill, paddy fields, and it can stay for 7 to 10 years. The rate of increase in methane is by 1% every year. Nitrous oxide is another greenhouse gas which contributes to 6% of total global warming. It is released from fuel burning, fertilizer, livestock waste, etc. And once it is released, it can stay in atmosphere for 140 to 190 years. Nitrous oxide is increasing by 0.2% every year. Because of increase in greenhouse gases, we are noticing rapid rise in the temperature of our planet. So this temperature rise is a matter of concern because Earth is much more warmer these days in comparison to any year before 10,000 years. Apart from this, there is also a possibility that with rise in temperature, all the ice cap may melt. Even the glaciers will melt down, and this will result in sea level rise. If there is slight increase in sea level, then we can expect that low-lying areas of cities like Shanghai, Cairo, Bangkok, Sydney, these all areas will be submerged. Even parts of India, Egypt, Bangladesh will lose agricultural productivity with respect to rice. With submergence of area, we also have a risk in Lakshadweep Island. So Lakshadweep Island is just few meters above the sea level and therefore it is very vulnerable to climate change. Life of millions of people will be affected by sea level rise who have been staying in the areas of Ganga, Nile, Mekong, Mississippi River, etc. Global warming and climate change can also pose severe risk to the health of human beings. There could be rapid rise in the diseases with multiplication of mosquito, virus, bacteria and vectors. So all these virus, bacteria and vector get suitable and optimum temperature conditions. With rise in temperature, their multiplication rate become really very fast and that is problematic to human health. It is expected that with global warming, there will be a number of diseases like malaria, schistosomiasis, filariasis, elephantiasis, etc. And therefore, there are high chances that humans will be affected by climate change. Climate change will also affect agriculture. Now here we have two types of view. Some people believe that there will be a positive change because of climate change, and some believe that global warming will contribute to negative impact on agriculture. Scientists believe that CO2 rise will be positive because CO2 is utilized by a plant in the form of photosynthesis. So more the amount of CO2, more will be the yield of the plants. But however, there are people who believe that agriculture will be negatively impacted due to climate change. And the reason is that with high temperature, there will be more burn injuries to leaf. The number of pests will also rise. Soil will lose its moisture content, and all of this together will result in negative impact on agricultural output. So right now a lot of research is going on to find out actually what is the impact of climate change in various sectors including agriculture. We can reduce climate change by following these measures. For example, we have to cut down the rate of use of chlorofluorocarbon and fossil fuel because by burning fossil fuel we are contributing to high amount of CO2. We also need to use energy efficiently. We need to shift to renewable sector, for example solar energy, nuclear energy, natural gas, and we need to trap methane as a fuel instead of letting it out and being released in atmosphere. We also need to reduce beef production because production of beef also results in many greenhouse gases. We need to adopt sustainable agriculture. We also need to stabilize our population growth because with population growth we are demanding more products, and ultimately this is one of the factors responsible for deforestation and climate change. Secondly, we need to use some kind of technology by which CO2 can be controlled. Planting of tree is another good option to trap CO2. And the last, we can also take help of photosynthetic algae in order to trap carbon dioxide. Apart from carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases which are causing climate change, we also have a very important global phenomena right now, and this global phenomena is ozone depletion. So let us discuss more about ozone depletion. Ozone is a thick layer which is present in the stratospheric zone of atmosphere. So this layer is very important because it prevents us from the penetration of ultraviolet radiations. So ozone is a form of oxygen. Molecule of oxygen contain 2 atoms, but in ozone there are 3. So O3 is ozone. So in a stratosphere, continuously ozone is being formed, and the reaction of its formation is this. So oxygen, that is O2, breaks into oxygen free radical. One of these oxygen free radical can combine with another molecule of oxygen, and then O3 is formed. Now this ozone layer can actually be measured with the help of Dobson spectrophotometer, and the unit to measure ozone is Dobson unit. So at pole, the amount of ozone in a stratosphere is 450 Dobson unit. At equator or in tropic, the amount of ozone is 250 Dobson unit. In South Pole also, the amount of ozone layer is 450 Dobson unit. So in 1930, one of the person, Thomas Midgley, had observed a very important compound, chlorofluorocarbon, which could actually be used in fridge. And since then, all fridge, ACs, refrigerators have been using chlorofluorocarbon as a main component gas. Dr. Joy C. Furman was the person who had observed ozone layer depletion for the first time. He was one of the member and scientist in British Antarctic Survey, and he went to Antarctic to calculate how much is the amount of ozone in South Pole. So what he observed, in South Pole, from 1957 there was a record decline in ozone layer. In fact, the ozone should actually be around 450 Dobson unit, but from 1957, according to Dr. Joy C. Furman, there was a rapid decline in the amount of ozone. The amount of ozone was much below. It was just 90 Dobson unit. Later, Rowland and Molina in 1974. Rowland was the professor and his student Molina, they both observed that chlorofluorocarbon are the chemicals which are actually responsible for ozone layer depletion. Chlorofluorocarbon, which were extensively used in fridge, ACs, refrigerators, have capability to rise till stratosphere. And in a stratosphere, these chlorofluorocarbon can cause reverse reaction or dissociation of ozone. So O3 easily get dissociated into oxygen molecule and oxygen free radical in presence of chlorofluorocarbon. So ozone depletion and ozone hole was quite evident in Antarctic region by the evidences provided by Dr. Joy C. Furman. It was observed that it was the summer time both in the poles of south as well as north when this ozone hole became quite evident. So summers of Antarctic usually from September to December, because this is the time period when southern hemisphere receive high amount of sunlight. So when northern hemisphere witness winter, southern hemisphere is in the conditions of summer. So from September to December is the time period for extensive ozone hole in Antarctic. Same way, North Pole witness ozone hole during summers, that means from February to June. And the reason behind this phenomena is the polar vortex. So polar vortex are cool circulating air which trap considerable amount of chlorofluorocarbon within them. And during summers, these polar vortex become wavy and unstable. So they expand, and chlorofluorocarbon, which was earlier trapped in these polar vortex, can go further up in the layer of stratosphere, and thereby chlorine get dissociated from chlorofluorocarbon and cause considerable damage to our ozone layer. At the end of Antarctic summer, it was noticed that nitrogen oxide, which was released from HNO3, gets it combined with chlorine and stop ozone destruction to a certain extent. Ozone depletion can cause considerable harm. So if ozone is depleted, definitely ultraviolet radiations can easily penetrate our earth and thereby affect DNA and photosynthetic chemicals. These changes in DNA can cause mutation and cancer. We can also be affected with skin cancer. So ultimately, ozone depletion can lead to a number of skin diseases and health issues in human beings as well as plants. Apart from this, ultraviolet radiations can affect our lens and cornea of eyes, and there will be more incident of cataract in such situation. Third point is that melanin producing cells of epidermis are easily destroyed by ultraviolet radiations because of immunosuppressions. So the people who are very fair, who have already very less amount of melanin pigment, they are more at risk with ultraviolet exposure. Phytoplanktons, which are small free floating plants, they are very sensitive to UV light, and therefore in presence of ultraviolet radiations, their population will definitely go down. Not only phytoplankton but other small insects, fish, marine animal will also be affected because of ozone depletion. Ozone layer depletion will also be problematic for our vital crops like corn, rice, soya bean, cotton, bean, pea, etc. Moreover, these ultraviolet radiations, they will definitely degrade the paint, plastic and other material, and there will be a huge economic loss. So, to prevent ozone depletion, there was a treaty signed in 1987 which is known as Montreal Protocol. So Montreal Protocol was signed in which all the countries unanimously decided that they will no longer be using chlorofluorocarbon because it is extremely dangerous substance, and gradually countries have phased out chlorofluorocarbon, and to certain extent we are also able to heal ozone layer. The next part of this chapter is acid rain. So large amount of toxic fumes are released from factories, and there is lot of emissions from vehicles also. So all these toxic fumes, they are high in sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. So these sulfur and nitrogen oxides, they can easily combine with rainwater and can come down in the form of acid rain. So acid rain is the rain which is extremely rich in sulfuric and nitric acid, and therefore it is extremely dangerous. So the acid rain can be in the form of wet or it can be dry, but in both the cases the amount of acid can cause considerable damage to the substance, to living organism and to any place wherever they will fall. It has been noticed that acid rain water has pH below 5. So pure rainwater has a pH of 5.6, because even in pure water we find little bit of carbonic acid, but in acid rain the pH is much below than 5. Now this acid rain can come down in the form of wet deposition or dry deposition. Wet deposition means these chemicals like nitrogen oxides, sulfur oxides, ammonia, HNO3, they can get trapped within raindrop and can fall on the surface of leaf, plant or any other place. But however, when there is deposition in the form of layer, for example, if gases get deposited in the form of layer on any surface, or if there is deposition of ammonium sulfate, ammonium nitrate, etc. on the surface, then it is known as dry. So dry deposition as well as wet deposition of acidic substance is quite common these days. So this acid rain can cause lot of harm. It can damage anything, any substance, any surface and even living organism. So the effects of acid rain are, first, it has been noticed that it was because of acid rain that the marble of Taj Mahal turned yellow in color. So the color change of marble was because of acid rain in Agra. Acid rain is also responsible for damage to stone statues in Greece and Italy. Acid rain can melt metals and car finishes. Apart from this, acid rain can be extremely dangerous for aquatic life. So the amount of water which go in lake, pond, nearby water stream can become polluted, and in that case fish may die. The lake can become acidified. There will be lot of toxic substance in the water, and further acidic rain will increase the toxicity of such metal like aluminium, mercury, manganese, zinc, etc. Acid rain can also kill all the fishes and may lead to reproductive failure in number of aquatic organisms. At present, there are number of lakes in Sweden, Norway, Canada which have already become fishless due to acid rain. Acid rain can also weaken the tree. These trees may become more susceptible to stresses like cold temperature, drought, insect, fungi, etc. and may easily die whenever such conditions prevail. So acid rain can be controlled if we can control CO2, if we can control sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide that is emitted out from industries and power plant. So we need to use pollution control equipment in order to trap these harmful gases. If the lake is already acidic because of acid rain, then we can use some base material which can neutralize it. So liming of lake is done in order to neutralize the effect of acid rain. We can also put a coating of protective layer of inert polymer in the pipe for drinking water. So this was the content of chapter 6. We have discussed first part, that is climate change, global warming, ozone depletion and acid rain. In the next video, we will be discussing international agreement and environment legislation. So do check the next video. Thank you.